Today's episode is part of our Australian Pale Ale series. Today we're going to compare Little Creatures Pale Ale with James Squire 150 Lashes Pale Ale. Hello from Beer Australia Reviews, and today we're going to be sampling, tasting and reviewing and also comparing two beers. These are the two main mass market pale ales across Australia. We've got the biggest well-known brand, which is the Little Creatures Pale Ale, along with the James Squire 150 Lashes Pale Ale. So each of these beers I've reviewed individually, but because these two are the two beers which are like the most well-known craft type beers in the mainstream, then I think we need to compare them. They've followed similar sorts of trajectories in the last few years. They started out smaller, and then they became more commercial. They run brew pubs across the place. But the thing about the two of these beers is they're both a quality beer. I like both of them, definitely. But this is going to be the first time that I ever tried both of them like side by side and actually rate which one is the best. So let's get these open and let's try some. Okay, here we go. So 150 Lashes Pale Ale. Clear, light. I'm getting some aromas from that already. Okay. That looks like a lovely beer. Very happy to try that one. Okay, and Little Creatures. Now it's pouring clear, but we know we have a little bit of sediment in the Little Creatures. Let's give that one a bit of a swirl. There we go, cloudiness. Now, was there any cloudiness in the? There's a little bit of cloudiness in the James Squire as well. Oh, too late. Okay, so colour differences. Little Creatures Pale Ale has an oranger one. This is more a lighter amber one. The head on it, this one's got smaller bubbles, a more dense head. This one's got larger bubbles. The bubbles are much in the muchness. Let's give it a minute or two, let them settle down a bit though. Right. So if anyone has tried both of these beers, I'd be interested to know what your opinion is of them back to back and see whether or not you agree with what I say about them. Okay, so I like both of these beers, but let's give it a try. Okay, this one is not giving me lots of craft beer type pale ale sorts of notes, more basic lagery sort of a thing. Okay, it's got some aroma, but it's not the most floral, or it doesn't have the most distinction. Oh, this one's got more hop aroma immediately. So the James Squire calls itself an Australian pale ale, whereas the Little Creatures models itself on a West Coast American pale ale. Okay, immediately we have Little Creatures just has a nicer aroma on that one. A little bit more about the two beers. There is a difference in the relative strength of these beers. The James Squire 150 Lashes Pale Ale is coming out of 4.2% volume, and the Little Creatures is coming out of 5.2. Now, really doesn't make that much difference to me whether or not I have a beer that's like 3.5%, 4.5%, 5.5%. It's more down to the quality of the beer. Do I like the beer? So I mean, at times I might have considerations on which one has the strongest alcohol content or the most alcohol content, but for tasting beers it makes no difference. How does the beer taste? That's the main thing. Now let's give these another go on the nose. That's smelling more like a mass-produced lager. That one's got some natural hops in there. Now, I don't know whether or not they use whole hops in either of these things. I'm presuming here in the 150 lashes that they use some hop extracts or hop pellets or something or other. I don't know for certain whether or not they use hop pellets in the little creatures. But I do know that on their website it tells us that they import some of their hops actually from the USA. Now, okay, let's give this one a taste. Quite a sweet taste on this one, not much bitterness. Not very complex compared to some. It actually, right this second, is tasting like a basic mainstream lager. I mean, it's a nice taste. It's perfectly okay. It's still looking good. But because I've had some of the aromas coming off the little creatures, it's sort of overwhelming the 150 lashes. Let's have a try. Oh, it's a very different thing. There's a lot of tang in this. There's a lot of bitterness. It's just far more complex. There's more things going on in this beer. Okay, so neither of these beers are the most complex, the most interesting beers that you'll ever taste. Both of them are really good though. I like to have a pint of either of these beers or a bottle of either of these beers if I go into a place that sells either one of them. A lot of the times you'll go into a pub around Perth and things and they have the 150 lashes on draft, whereas the little creatures would not be on draft in most places. So if my choice is to have something like a basic Australian beer, but they've got 150 lashes on draft, I'm having a pint of that one every time. The draft version of this one is, to me, has like a little bit more character to it than the bottle version. I don't know where this one is bottled, but I'm going to presume here that most of the time when I've drank 150 lashes, it's been in the Perth area. So they do have a brew pub in the centre of Perth. I don't know whether or not the barrels come from the brew pub in the centre of Perth, but we never know with these things where the bottles are actually produced. So now let's have a read of what it says on the website. So, Australian style pale ale, quenching, full of character, malted wheat adds some refreshment, and a concoction of hops adds fruity aroma with hints of passion fruit, grapefruit and citrus. Let me just see if I get any of the passion fruit, grapefruit and citrus. There's a little bit of grapefruit. There's a little bit of the character of it. It's not hitting me with, what does it say, concoction of hops, fruity aroma. There's some in there, but it's not jumping out at me. Whereas the aroma on the little creatures, it's just, there's more of it. There's a very definite hit of citrus when you put your nose in there. Notes of burnt toffee, citrus, and stone fruits on the little creatures. Let's have a go. I'm getting some citrus. Can't tie it down to a particular type of citrus. Sometimes with a really good quality craft pale ale, you get just a whole grapefruit seems to be shoved into the glass. Not in this case. There's a little bit of grapefruit in there, but it's not the most overwhelming grapefruit sensation I've had by drinking an Australian pale ale. So there is a very definite winner with this one. The Little Creatures is head and shoulders above the James Squire 150 lashes. The James Squire is good, and it rates really good as an Australian beer, but I think that just the care and the quality of the ingredients that goes into the Little Creatures just comes out, and it's just an overall better product for me in this head-to-head taste test with two bottles that have been bought at the same time and stored in the fridge for the same amount of time. So they both came out the bottle shop, they've both sat in the fridge for a week or two, and I'm drinking them at the same time. Little Creatures is just the better beer. They're actually they're reasonably similar priced. The Little Creatures does come out a little bit more expensive. So remember, the Little Creatures is 5.2% instead of 4.2% on the James Squire. So you're getting more alcohol for your money, but you're getting more flavour for your money. Definite winner. If you've got you've got a choice: Little Creatures Pale Ale or James Squire 150 Lashes Pale Ale. I am going to choose Little Creatures every time. It's just a nicer beer. Yeah. So there you go. Ooh, now which ones will finish off first? Now, do I finish off the one that I like? Nah, you know what? Right, I've got to finish off the Little Creatures first, because then afterwards I won't care when I finish off the James Squire 150 Lashes. I still don't get any burnt toffee in this though. Thanks for watching.